Hiya! And welcome to Reading a Wednesday. And today, on Reading Wednesday, I'm going to be reviewing How the One-Armed Woman, no, not the One-Armed Woman, sorry, How the One-Armed Sister Sweeps Her House by Cherie Jones. Cherie, I don't know. Cherie Jones, okay. I'm going to be reviewing this bad boy while drawing an illustration. Of course, you know how it goes. Time-lapse, but first let's see the inside cover. In Baxter's Beach, Barbados, Lala's grandmother, Wilma, tells the story of the one-armed sister. It's a cautionary tale about what happens to girls who disobey their mothers and go into the Baxter's tunnels. When she's grown, Lala lives on the beach with her husband, Adon, a petty criminal with endless charisma whose thwarted burglary of one of the beach mansions sets off a chain of events with terrible consequences. A gunshot no one was meant to witness, a new mother whose baby is found lifeless on the beach, a woman torn between two worlds and incapacitated by grief, and two men driven into the tunnels by desperation and greed who attempt a crime that will risk their freedom and their lives. How the One-Armed Sister Sweeps Her House is an intimate and visceral portrayal of interconnected lives across race and class in a rapidly changing resort town told by an astonishing new author of literary fiction. Was it really so astonishing? I'm just going to break this up as usual. Pros and cons. Honestly, wasn't really that big a fan of this book, so I don't have many pros, but one pro is the storytelling of Jones. I have to applaud that for the way she wove the characters' stories together, and how the story and all its parts eventually unfold. I mean, that is something that is a little praiseworthy, okay? Because honestly, it's not that strange of a story. It's really not that interesting of a story. It's like, I'm gonna give you a basic rundown, kind of gonna spoil it for you anyway, but Lala's with Adon. Adon tries to rob this rich white woman. He ends up shooting and killing her husband because Lala goes into labor and knocks on and rings the buzzer, and so it interrupts and he has to leave. And then that woman is torn by grief and all, whatever. And then they're fighting over the baby dies. Then her friend, well, not her friend, Adon's friend, Tone, and kind of Lala's friend, comes up with the idea to act like the baby was kidnapped and killed. I don't know how that makes it better, but it does. And then they're trying to figure out who killed this baby, but it was really them. They just dropped her. That's it. That's the story, okay? It's not that interesting, right? Like, it's like those are a few components, but it's a pretty basic story, and yet Jones was able to tell it in the most interesting way possible. She told that in the most interesting way you could tell that story. Like, no one else is going to do that for her, pretty sure. So the pacing, and I wouldn't really say this, pacing is my next pro, but I wouldn't really say this is like a pro, really. It's more just like, it was okay, and it wasn't terrible, you know? The pacing was good. It was like steady throughout, and I think it really picks up and has a lot of like suspension. There's like some tension near like a third of the book left. So like the 2/3 in, that's when it really picked up for me, okay? That's when it was like everything was coming to a head, and it's like, oh yeah, stuff is going down. But it was pretty steady pacing. And my last pro is the character Tone. Tone, who is like kind of introduced as like a side character, and she only gives his point of view halfway through the book, really. And I had no idea that he would be my favorite character, but he legit does. He turns into my favorite. And he's like he's a male gigolo on the beach. That's his job. He sleeps with the wealthy tourist women. He makes a good living like that, you know. And I just like that guy. Now, we go into his like past and everything, and the poor boy was like raped when he was 15. I was like, I was terrible. She didn't, like, we just come in the aftermath. Like, you can actually go through it. You just come in the aftermath. Like, Lala actually finds him. Like, just bleeding and injured like that. But, like, I just loved him. I was like, he's so nice. He just seemed so well-intentioned. I thought he was my favorite character overall. This like male gigolo, because he just did his job and he minded his business pretty much. He minded his business a little too much, honestly, since he was friends with Adon and knew good and darn well that Adon has beaten Lala, and you're also in love with Lala, but you're okay with your friend beating her. Like, okay, make it make sense, but I still loved him. Okay, he was my favorite character. So now we move on to the cons, which is not really my favorite part, but they are the ones that I have a lot of them. Okay, I have a lot of cons. My first con is the number of viewpoints in this thing. Because look, okay, this is not a thick book. This is less than 300 pages, I am pretty sure. Yes, less than 300 pages, including her acknowledgements. Less than 300 pages. Okay. And this thing has at least 8 different viewpoints. We got Lala, we have her husband Adon, we have his friend Tone, we have Queen of Sheba for like one time, who was a prostitute on the beach. We have the Officer Beckles, who's the police officer who's trying to investigate the crime of the dead baby. We have Mira Wayland, who is the white woman that Adon tried to, rob. And then we have other people. We have Tone. Well, I already said Tone, didn't I? But anyway, there's a lot of people. There is a lot of viewpoints. And we have, were all of them 100% necessary? No. I want to say they were not. I want to say they were not 100% necessary, especially since they don't, it's more so like, with Jones's voice, like, it's not like she's trying to become these characters. She's not in first person. She's kind of in third person, limited or whatever. I don't know, whatever. She's in third person. And she's not trying to be these characters. She's just like, okay, we're going to focus on this guy now. We're just going to focus on her. Now we're going to go back to him, And I was just like, it's too much. It's too much. I was like, do all these people have to have their own chapter? Because I'm tired. And I just can't do this. Okay, especially since you are less than 300 pages, for you to have this many point of views, that's too much. It's too much. Put some back, please. Please put them back. Okay, so I was just like, I think it should have stuck with the principal characters. It should have just been like Lala, Adon, Mira Wayland. Tone, because I like him. Add Tone in there because I like him. He really shouldn't be in there. If we stuck to the principal characters, Lala, Adon, Tone. I mean, not Tone. Mira Wayland. That's it. That's who it should have been. But I got a whole lot more than that, and I did not appreciate it. Okay. And then, my second con for this book is just uselessly depressing to me. Uselessly depressing. And I'm going to explain why it's uselessly depressing to me, because it was sad, but I didn't cry. I didn't cry not one tear. My eyes were drier than the Sahara, baby. I didn't cry not one time. Not one time did I threaten to cry. No. It was depressing in a way where it was like, what's the point though? If I'm not sad, then what's the point? Why is it such a sad story if I'm not feeling anything? I didn't really connect with any of the characters either, so therefore all of the things that they went through, all the struggles and stuff, I ain't really caring about that much, because I didn't care about them in general. Even though, I found a lot of Lala and Adon, for one, it's they're in it's domestic abuse. Adon is abusive. He beats her. He bites her boob, by the way. Just in one. He's a booby biting buffoon. Adon is. I hated that man. I have not wanted a character to die so strongly so long. I have not felt that way for a long time, but I felt that in this book. I was like, why is this bozo? Why is he still breathing air? This booby biting buffoon is still converting this oxygen to CO2, and I don't understand it. I'm like, I need this to stop immediately. Why is he still breathing like this? He's still out here alive, heart a-beating, and he's bitten Lala's breast, and I'm pregnant. I just had a baby, and you bit my boob. Ooh, homicide. I would have just... I was tired of him. I hated him so much. But anyway, it was just so depressing. So he's they're in a domestic abuse they're in a abusive relationship, and that was really disturbing. Of course, he murders Mira Whalen's husband. That was sad. There's rape. There's a lot of things that are disturbing in this story, but like, what was the point of them? Was it just to show me, I guess, how like hard that life is? Maybe that was it. Maybe that was the point. But see, I'm just like, I feel like it is uselessly depressing if I'm asking what was the point of that. You know? I feel like I shouldn't have to ask. I should know what the point was. But after I finished the book and I closed it and everything was over, there's nothing left to read, there's nothing left for me to think about, I'm like, what was this intended to make me feel or think? Because I gotta know. I don't know at this point, but I want to know, but I don't. And so my other con too is the style of Jones's writing. It was very lyrical. It's like a lyrical kind of prose she has, kind of poetic, but it's not. You know, it's not poetry. It's fiction, but it feels poetic. But I've read lyrical books before. I've read prose that was really nice and just like, oh, that was so beautifully said. And hers didn't feel authentic to me. For me, I felt as if Jones was like conscious of the style she wanted her book to have and was actively working towards that. So it didn't come off as natural to me. It didn't come off as like, oh, she writes and this is just how it came out. But she wanted to write a book and this is just how it ended up happening and coming about. Like, it didn't feel like that to me. It felt like Jones wanted to sound poetic and wanted to sound lyrical and tried, and it just didn't come off the same way to me. Like, I've read 2 other books now where I was like, this is beautiful on every page, and I didn't feel like they were actively trying to do that. It just came naturally for them, which is, you know, can't say that for everybody, but for this one, I just did not think that was it. I think it might have even alienated me from the characters a little bit, which I don't think was intentional. I don't know any author who wants to alienate you really from the characters. But, and lastly, my last con is the ending. The ending was like, I'm gonna spoil it, I don't even care. Lala gets away with money that Tone gives her from being a gigolo. He's like, here's some money, because he be living well. Even when it's not tourist season, you know, he be getting money. But so he gave her some, and she's able to like escape, you know. And she was living with this white man on the beach for a while. His name was, I don't even know what his name was. His name was Jeff or something. I don't know. He was a doctor too. He was a doctor. I liked him. I was like, look at him caring about this woman. He was like, nah, because I have a daughter, and I would not let my daughter be treated like this. And I was like, you go ahead. You go ahead. You go ahead, stand up for your daughter. Stand up against domestic abuse, because it ain't right. It ain't right, and you should be mad. Give me your white man rage only right now. I will only take your white male rage right now in the face of domestic abuse. That is the only instance. This instance right here. I will accept your rage. I was happy with his rage. I was like, this is earned. I like that guy. He was also like on the level of Tone, I guess, but he didn't get a viewpoint, which I was happy about. I'm not sure if there's not a viewpoint though that's lying on like the editing room floor of Jones. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure she gave him one. It just didn't make it. It just didn't make it into the book. Anyway, but the ending, my boy Tone, he's the one who came up with the idea to act like the baby was kidnapped and killed on the beach after they dropped her, which I thought was stupid, but I was like, you know, I can't tell the characters that, so I just had to read that happen. And then the one thing I did like was Adon did die. The booby-biting buffoon did die. Thank goodness, because I was tired of him, and I was like, every problem is because of you. You are literally the only problem in the whole book, really. Every problem starts and ends with your trifling behind. So if you could just peacefully just decease, just die, all the problems would stop. So let's do that. Let's do that. If we can't come up with any other plans, let's kill this guy. Okay, so he died. And I was happy about that. I was also, this is another reason, it goes into the reason why Tone was my guy. Because Tone, ever since he was raped, which I'm sorry about that, ever since he was raped, he was like,
there's this anger in him that comes up sometimes. And they talk about it like this thing inside of him, okay? And so that thing came out when Adon tried to trick him into, he said he was hiding weed. And then Adon was like, it's actually crack. But he wasn't even gonna tell him that. He was just gonna like act like he's stupid and he don't know the difference between crack and weed. But he's like, I don't deal with crack. No. That's what Tone said. And then he ended their friendship and he said all the beef that he had with Adon, like, you suck anyway, bro, because you beat up Lala, and we all know that real men don't do that, okay? He was like, he let him have it, and then he was gonna walk away. He was like, you know, oh, it's over. Our friendship is done. Toast. You know, he was gone. He was gonna walk. And then he heard Adon coming after him, and so he was like, oh, here it goes, you know, and that thing came up, that thing of anger, and he grabbed a rock and he just hit Adon in the face. And I was like, yeah, because I love me a character who knows how to fight. Okay, I love when they just know how to fight. I love it. Nothing is more upsetting to me than a character who doesn't know how to fight and they're in a plot and a story that desperately needs them to, and I have to read them getting their butt whooped. That is the most upsetting thing to me. The most frustrating thing. I cannot take it. I'm not gonna get secondhand embarrassment from you getting your hiney handed to you, because I know I wouldn't. So it's upsetting to me. Okay? Anyway, but Tone didn't do that for me. Tone was like, I'm smart, even though I'm tinier than Adon. He wasn't tiny. He's not tiny, but he's like smaller than him. He like ran away, and then he like hid and made him fall and die. Like it was beautiful. It was beautiful. But he didn't go to jail. That's another thing with the ending, okay? Because he just wakes up in the hospital later. They have him pass out, or Jones has him pass out on the beach in the tunnels, okay? I'm like, what happened? He must have crawled out. That's what I'm realizing. He must have crawled out or something. And then the police found him and they charged him with the murder of Baby and the kidnapping of Baby. The baby's name was literally Baby. Okay, and so then he's gonna go to jail. And I was like, that's some bull. Not her putting my favorite character back in jail. He already went in jail for something, I don't know. But like, it was just upsetting. I was just so done. So he ends up in jail, but he's happy because he knows Lala's gone and Adon can't hurt her anymore. And I was just, whatever, I guess. It's a happy ending. But, yeah, I wanted them to kind of, he was in love with Lala, so of course I was like, if they could just, you know, ride off into the sunset, that would have been nice. However, even I recognize as a reader and as like an intellectual that ending would have been too happy for the depressing tragedy that is the rest of the book. It just wouldn't have made sense. Like if she had added that, it would have been like, what? Yeah, it wouldn't have even seemed like, I don't know, it wouldn't have made sense if she had added them being together at the end, because the rest of the book is just so sad. You would have been like, well, dang, I'm already traumatized. It's too late. There's nothing you can do. Like, my heart is broken and you cannot resuscitate. It is broken. So, yeah. I gave this, what did I give this? 3 stars? 3 stars. I believe I did. Yes. 3 stars. And I wrote a review, so let's read that. Spoiler alert, I thought I would give this 2 stars. Knew a miracle would have to happen for it to get anything higher than 3. The fact that Dawn died makes it a 3, which I'm like, I stand by that. I still stand by that. Overall, this is a very depressing book. There is only one happy ending, if you can even call it that, that being Lala escaping Adon. And Tone became my favorite character, and I'm disappointed it ends with him going back to jail, shaking my head. He deserved better. I was hoping he'd get to run away with Lala since he loved her, but I also believe that would have been too happy an occurrence for a book so grim. And I'm not in love with Jones' voice or prose. I've read lyrical fiction before that felt more natural and worthy of awe than this. And overall, I don't really feel any better having read this story. I don't know what I'm truly to grasp from it, if anything. So, yeah. Yeah, that's it. Just kind of, not that I was really, I wasn't expecting much, but I am disappointed. I wasn't expecting much, but I'm disappointed. I did not like this. It was okay. It was alright. Pretty cover, though. Pretty cover. I'm not looking for, it is her debut novel as well. I'm not really looking forward to what else? No, I won't say that. I think I am looking forward to what other stories she has, because I do like the storytelling of it, but I just didn't like this one so much. I hope she has something else that's a little deeper, because with the domestic abuse and everything, that wasn't really, even though we witnessed that and we know that Lala experiences it and goes through it and escapes it, that's not really a topic in the book. We don't really go into why she stays with him. I think she stays, she feels obligated to, but we kind of touched that only surface level. She didn't really explore that, so I don't really know. I feel like all of the themes we could have touched on, we barely did. All the themes we could have discovered, we could have explored, it was all very surface level exploration there. You know, we just touched base. So, I do kind of I hope she has more in her. I know she does. I think she'll get better, but this was not it for me. So that's it.
Alrighty, and so the time lapse is done. It's time to show my illustration. First, I want to show I kind of redid the cover, I guess. This is the book cover, of course, and this is my illustration that I ended up finishing. I want to say this is probably like the most simple illustration I've done so far. But my idea was basically just to have this is Lala. She has a black eye, of course, from Adon, and I just wanted to fill the head wrap with things that are kind of in the story. So there's a unicycle because she actually meets Adon at the fair, and he's riding a unicycle. It's very strange, honestly, because he never does it again. Like, I don't know, I guess he only does that when the fair comes around, but he is not a street performer. Like, he never rides a unicycle again. And then this is the back of Tone, and he has dreads. And I think they're light colored. I don't think they're dark like mine, obviously. I think they're like blonde. So, yeah, and then I also think he's of a lighter complexion than Lala. So I'm not really sure about that. This is a gold watch. Does anyone wear a gold watch in this movie? It's a book. In this book, I think so. Either way, I'm like, I don't know. I put that there because he steals things, and I just felt like, yeah. This is an umbrella that he beats Lala with one time, because there's literally a sequence where she's hiding everything that's dangerous in the house, and then she forgets about the umbrella. These are coconuts, because they have coconuts outside their house. And these are raisins because Mira Wayland buys raisins every night from like the not the grocery store, the gas station, because that's the last thing her husband asked for before before Adon killed him. So those are all the things in her head wrap. I did the lines. I like line work sometimes, and I thought it was really missing something, so I did the lines around that. And I think it kind of matches the tone of the book to me. This one also, I mean, I love the cover of this too. I think I don't wish this was the cover though, because I think this is a little happier than what it is. Okay, I think this idea is a little more kooky than what the actual book is, like considering how like triggering and sad and grim the story is. So I wouldn't want this cover to be the cover of the book, but this is my reimagined cover of it. Didn't really plan on putting the words there, but like something felt like it was missing, like I said. So here's my first illustration for how the one-armed sister sweeps her house, and that's the end of my video and review. Yeah, thank you for watching. Next week, not next week, some other week, I hope to do a May wrap-up of all the books I've read in May. And then like a little illustration along with that too. But like I said, thanks for watching. Go read a book, have some thoughts or not, chill out, do you. Hi, but I hope you have a lovely day. Bye!